Welcome to today's lesson on cell organelles. In this, we will try to understand the concept of cell wall and nucleus. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಪಾಠದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಲ್ ವಾಲ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಕೋಶ ಭಿತ್ತಿ ಮತ್ತು ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ಇವುಗಳ ವಿಚಾರವಾಗಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಇದು 9ನೇ ತರಗತಿಯ 5ನೇ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬುಕ್ ನಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಿಚಾರ. I have given 3 images on this presentation. You see towards your left side there is a cell photograph taken naturally by some scientist that has been introduced now. Here you can see very clearly the central portion, the red portion, that is the nucleus containing nuclear membrane and other parts. And there is the external part that is in the white area that is called the cell wall. So today in this particular picture we are working on cell wall. Towards your right side I have given one more diagram again given by some scientist indicating the structure of the cell wall. Let us see what the cell wall looks like. Cell wall is outside plasma membrane. You know, every cell contains plasma membrane. In the plant cells, in addition to the plasma membrane, there will be what's called a cell wall. And it is made up of cellulose. It is a very complex structure made up of different kinds of materials. It is tough, it is flexible, or it may be rigid. It depends upon the type of the material or the type of the plant cell we are looking into. It can be very tough. That means it is difficult to break that up. And in most cases, the cell wall works like a support because plant cells require a good support, a rigid support. They do not have any skeleton. Therefore, cell wall may serve as a skeletal purpose. And then it also helps in protecting the inner semi-permeable membrane and also the cytoplasm and its contents. Plus, it acts like a filter paper because cell wall also has a large number of pores. Through these pores, some materials can go inside and then plasma membrane refilters it. So the most important thing you must learn here is cell wall is seen only in the plant cells and it is very tough, it is very complicated, it helps to give a support and stability to the plant cell. It also works like a filter paper. We learned something about the cell wall in the previous PPT. In this PPT, you are going to learn on nucleus because your textbook will not explain more than this information what I have given to you. I have taken 2 diagrams or 2 pictures from Creative Commons. That's a beautiful picture they have given. I have taken. Towards your left is the cell containing the nucleus. You see, the nucleus is the central part of the cell which controls almost every activity of the cell. Nucleus is normally something, it looks like a small ball, and you can see in this case the white ballish structure, and then that is the nuclear membrane made up of 2 layers. Just like the plasma membrane, it also has 2 layers. Plasma membrane has pores. This also has pores. So nuclear membrane has pores. And there is nucleoplasm inside. Just like cytoplasm, there is a special liquid inside the nucleus called nucleoplasm. The viscosity will be different than the cytoplasm. And inside you have a network of chromatin called chromatin network. It is made up of DNA. You know, DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and that is the basic unit from which genes are made. And then there is another thing called nucleolus. That function, we need not worry too much about it, but nucleus in general is circular in nature. It is very small, or sometimes it may be big. At the time of reproduction of cell division, it enlarges in size. Nuclear membrane has two layers. It has pores. It allows certain molecules and ions to go inside and certain ions to come out. And the chromatin network helps in maintaining the heredity of the cells and passing on information from generation to generation. A nucleoplasm helps in giving material required for the activity of the nucleus. This much we will learn about the nucleus. We go to next part. Well, I tried to explain to you about the nucleus in the last minute. Now I will try to give you little more information on nuclear membrane. See, there are two images given to you in the left side, and one with the reddish brown color is the nucleus. If you can compare the cell size and the nucleus will be almost about 1/5 or 1/8 of the cell size, except in the cell division time it might increase in size. And the nucleus, the entire nucleus is covered by two layers of nuclear membrane, which I told you in the last session also. Nuclear pores, their function is to allow cellular materials to go inside from cytoplasm, and some material from the nucleoplasm can go out. So nuclear pore controls the activity. It is a living one controlled by proteins. Then there is the chromatin network inside. That is a very long thread-like structure in the form of a network, just like a spider's web. It is very complicated, and that is in the normal condition. As the cells start to divide, then it becomes thicker and thicker, and the entanglement goes away, and it becomes shorter and shorter and shorter, and then ultimately it will be seen in the form of small thread-like structures called chromosomes. When we examine the chromosomes, we find chromosomes are also made up of DNA, and DNA is nothing but deoxyribonucleic acid. It will be a double helix in almost all the cells. Now this chromatin, as I told you, will divide into definite number of chromosomes at the time of cell division. That depends upon the species of the organism we are looking into. Both in plants and animals, chromatin divides into a definite number of chromosomes. We call in such a thing as diploid number. That is, if there are 46 chromosomes you find, it's called 23 pairs. 23 comes from the mother side, 23 come from the father side. It's called maternal and paternal side. And ultimately, the nucleus now takes part in the cell growth. Nucleus takes part in the cell division, and nucleus takes part in all the cellular activities. That means nucleus can be compared to the brain of a human being. The brain of the cell is the nucleus. So the entire activity of the cell depends upon the nuclear function. So therefore, when some viruses attack the cells, they may destroy the nucleus. When the nucleus is destroyed, cells will die. That is the most important thing we should learn. Again, I am giving you a little more information connected with the nucleus. As per your textbook, there is one mention about the nucleus in the prokaryotes. Prokaryotes means organisms which are one-celled organisms, and they have a DNA, but that DNA will be in the form of chromatin, and that will not contain the nuclear membrane. So one-celled organisms like bacteria have nucleus, but the word nucleus is not given to that because there is no nuclear membrane. Hence, it is known as nucleoid. I have given that in the yellow color. So the prokaryotes will have all the cell organelles like most of the cells, but the nucleus will be very different in the prokaryotes. The other one, what we call is the eukaryotes, means true nucleus. In the prokaryotes means primitive nucleus. Primitive nucleus is known as nucleoid, but it does all the functions of a regular nucleus. That to please remember this particular point given in your textbook also. Now I would like to give a small review or a summary of what we learned in this presentation. We talked about the cell wall is seen only in the plant cells. In addition to cell membrane, cell wall protects, gives support and helps in filtration of materials. Then we talked about the functions of cell wall in detail. We said it acts like a filter, it supports and it gives stability to the cells, and it is complex in nature. It might contain a material called cellulose, which may be something like different types of carbohydrates. Now we talked about nucleus. We said that nucleus is in the center of all the cells. Normally, it may be the size may be about 1/5 or 1/10 of the total size of the cell, but every cell has a nucleus. Nucleus is the center of all the activities of the cell. Nucleus is also covered by a membrane called nuclear membrane that has got two layers, and inside that there is the nucleoplasm, and in the nucleoplasm we see a chromatin network during the normal cell activity, but at the time of cell division chromatin divides into chromosomes. Then we talked about the prokaryotes, example like bacteria. Single cell organisms like bacteria have nucleus, but it's called primitive nucleus because it will not contain the nuclear membrane. And such a nucleus without a nuclear membrane is known as nucleoid, that is seen in the prokaryotes. But in the eukaryotes, we find nucleus with the nuclear membrane. And lastly, I said nucleoid will be seen in all the prokaryotic one-celled or single-celled organisms, and that is very helpful in understanding the genetics of the organisms, because nucleoid can be easily broken down into pieces by chemical activity in the laboratory. This much you have learned. Remember these points, please. Well, it's my duty to thank all of you for viewing this particular presentation. I am also thankful to the Karnataka State textbook of class 9th, where I have taken materials like especially content, what to talk about for the 9th class. And from Google, I have taken some information. From Creative Commons, excellent pictures are taken. For them also, I am grateful. And YouTube for giving you an opportunity to publish and also view this one. I thank you all. I'll meet you in the next presentation on some more cell organelles. Thank you.